Continuation of the stream. We're now going to go through the very first lab that makes up CSXP. In this lab, as you've logged in as a student, a few things I'll mention first. This lab was launched live. Again, you can launch this lab from anywhere, and you're in a live network performing live tasks. That's what we're looking at here. I also mentioned that what precedes this is a series of instruction and slides that identifies the importance of scanning your assets, understanding what's on your network, that you can't protect anything if you don't know what you have. That's the whole point of this lab. That's why it's the first lab that students work with. That they identify the network, they understand what they're working with, and they understand that this is one of the realms I'm interacting with. In fact, scanning is so important that we have about 4 or 5 labs that speak to it. Okay, showing you a couple different tools like Nmap, like HPaint. We even use some ZenMap stuff so people can get a little bit of that visual experience, all right? So, as you open up each lab, you're presented with the same, well, similar information. You've got your lab identifier up front. You have your objectives, okay? In this instance, we want students to become familiar with Nmap options, use Nmap to identify network devices, use Nmap to characterize network devices. We also give a little scenario in this instance. As a newly hired technician, you're provided administrator access to the new company's corporate system. Again, you're supposed to find documentation on the network. It's that scary scenario I told you guys all about, right? Where you show up and you're like, oh no, there's no information, there's no netmap. What do I do? Well, we'll show you what to do in that scary situation. That's what we're doing in this lab. So go ahead and hit next. You get a little bit more of an additional description here for students. As you're going through, you can see students will utilize Nmap, Network Discovery Mapping tool, to identify systems on the network of responsibility. All right, and you're in. As I mentioned before, these are real computers on real server space in real places, real time. Real occurrences are happening, and you are interacting with them, again, live. You can notice here on the right, you have a couple different things. You have tasks. So, as you can see, this specific lab is 10 steps long. Need a little more context for these steps? You don't just like someone telling you and yelling, log in? Me either. How do I do that? Well, in this instance, for students who are a little unfamiliar with the actual Linux experience, we have at the bottom, log into CaliLAN virtual machine as root with the password of aacc. Is that still intimidating? Don't worry. We've got you covered there too. In each of our steps, we have little pictures and hints that help you along. So you can click the little picture on the side, just in case you're unsure, all right? And then you can proceed. So, just like the picture, we click Other. We say we put in root, and then we put in aacc. And then we've logged in. Now, there's a couple great things that happen right now. Congratulations, first step is done, all right? Only 9 more to go. Feeling pretty good there. And as you click Done, on the bottom right-hand corner, you'll notice that you actually do natively progress here. And you can see your second specific instruction is presented to you. Since you do not know what network your systems are on, open the terminal and run ifconfig. We give you the command right here, and right here we also have a little alert that pops up. In order to run our scan with Nmap, we first need to identify the IP address range of our network segment. We also give you, so that was an alert, here are a few hints, a little context. After running the ifconfig command, we can see that the network is a 255.255.255.0, which we'll discuss a little bit more, and we talk a little bit about CIDR notations and so forth in that actual hint. As always, we also have the camera button that will show us, give us some encouragement on how to pull it up. So, let's go through the step together, all right? Everyone click your terminal, and you run ifconfig. All right, well, we can breathe a sigh of relief. We know what network we're on, all right? 192.168.0.0 in this instance, or is that 0.0. And we have a net mask of 255.255.255.0. Breathing a sigh of relief, we now have the very beginning of how to proceed with our scan, all right? We know that this is the network we're on. We even see that we specifically are 0.100, all right? So we already know one system on the network. All right, and we know it's Linux on top of it all. And we'll discuss doing deeper scans on a side note later in one of our other labs, because those of you who are familiar with Nmap, you know there is so much you can do with it, okay? And we talk about doing OS scans for operating systems and so forth. and deeper ping scan, deeper ported scans and so forth. We talk about Christmas tree scans. We talk about half open, half closed, all the good stuff. We even do zombie scans if that's your bag. All right. So proceeding, and I'm going to take a quick side step real quick while I'm here. A unique aspect of this environment is that you can see if everyone clicks machines here on the right, it's almost like a spoiler alert for you. All right. You can see all the machines that we're going to be working with. I want you to take a second, and I want you to click. Let's say the second machine. Click the third machine from the bottom, okay? And everyone can see, hey, that's a Windows machine. And I have the credentials to log in. That's pretty cool. And then if you click on the second to bottom, you see it's one of your security onions. These are all the different machines. This is what I meant when I was talking about the playground that you can interact in, all right? This is the environment where you can try things out. Say you have a specific tool that you want to practice with that you know is on Kali. Go ahead, have fun. We've set it up. We've configured it for you. Who here's used OpenVAS before? We've even set up and configured that for you, which you might not know now, but if later you decide you want to go and try and set that up, it can be a real pain. A lot of these tools are pre-configured for your use to try out and play around with. That's what we want you to do. We want you to get comfortable with this. We want you to be comfortable in the cyber world. All right? I know there's very few things worse than sitting in a role at work and feeling like, I have no idea what I'm doing. That was me for a couple years there, guys. Just being like, yep, I computer, I mouse, click, click, I press print, and my email came out. I'm not kidding. Let me remind you, I was so lost in the sauce, I got the wrong master's degree at first. All right? That's how backwards I was. But if I can make it, anyone can. All right? So, one more thing I want to show you here. Now, this is all dependent upon the amount of exposure the lab creator wanted you to have. In this instance, you see these because you're starting out, all right? This is one of the introductory labs. We don't just want to frighten you away. So that's why we're allowing you to see a lot of these other labs, a lot of these other computers. We even, if someone takes the time to look, even gets a little net map, so maybe build in and throw it away on the way out, right? But at the end, you can take a look and you can verify some of your results there and be like, all right, this is not that bad. Also, we have a support tab if you'd like to click that. Now, not everyone enjoys doing steps without seeing them in a holistic fashion. We provide you with the lab manual here. And it popped up in my other browser. But when you click that link, you can see not only there's the net map, but then you have all the hints and all the alerts one at a time right there for you. It's pretty fun, and it's the preference of some students.
How did you get that?
So if you click your support tab, in the upper right-hand corner, and then you click Lab Manual.
Gotcha.
And then it'll pop up. And you can even, if you want to, I'll bring this over here, click Show Screenshots. Okay, so your screenshots are also available as you go through. That's pretty neat. Some students I've taught enjoy printing this so that they have it. And hey, I'm all for it. With all my technical books, okay, I don't do ebooks at all. I can't do it. All right, I need something I have physically, tangibly. I can write notes in the margins, things like that. My Metasploit book looks like a war zone right now, but that's neither here nor there. All right. So if you click Content, which Metasploit, another tool that you'll learn in CSXP, when you're conducting specific types of evaluations and so forth, and trying to see if you're exploitable. If you go back and click Content, all right, and we're back in the game, we've done our ifconfig. We know where we are, all right? We know at least where we are on the network. So we now know we can start scanning. So if you click Done and go on to Step 3, type in the following command to view a listing of nmap commands. For a lot of students, this may be the first time where they're ever using it, right? So they need to know what tools are available for them. And we click Type nmap. And hey, we have a bunch of, I always love nmap's help because it's relatively robust and I'm pretty happy with it. All right? You can see all your different options, all your different options and flags that you can put in. You've got your ping scan, and that's not the last time you'll see that, all right? You have your PN, all right, capital P, lowercase n, treat all hosts as online, which some of you may understand why that's important, and we'll see it soon. All right, let's scroll down. So we get a little comfort. We take a look at the alert. Hey, by default, nmap uses the following to discover live hosts. These are the different, we talked about ports and protocols previously in our set of slides and so forth. All right. However, if you are scanning on the same segment, nmap by default uses ARP pings to discover live hosts on the network. Who knows why that may or may not be a problem? Do systems always respond to ARP? No, some systems don't, right? We'll see that later. And we have, for hints, the following URLs may be of use, and we have nmap.org and nmap.org/book/man, and once if any of you have stumbled on or intentionally gone to the nmap site, you know that you're in for a world of info, okay? Let alone the forums and so forth that discuss. All right, so go ahead and click done. We're gonna do our first basic scan, all right? Where we do a TCP Connect scan, and we discussed TCP Connects and the importance of it in the slides, naturally. And you can see here an alert. Running a TCP Connect scan, lowercase s, capital T, is noisy and will definitely show up in host and network IDS logs. It completes the full three-way TCP handshake. So when we talk about connections and how the internet works, right, and how data is sent, there's the three-way handshake and how that establishes everything and sends your connection. That's what we're doing here, and that's how we identify this with the student. And as a side note, TAC S, capital T is run by default, right, in certain instances as well. And as we mentioned, with IDS logs, it's going to be noticed. In this instance, you're the guy with the IDS, so that's okay. You are the person who's in charge of the security of the system. So let's go ahead, close that out, and we're going to run our first nmap scan. All right, nmap, and pay careful attention to your typing. Space, TAC, lowercase s, capital T, TAC, VV. Who knows what VV means? I'm sure a couple of you guys here do. Very verbose in this instance, so we can see something. A few things are more disheartening to a student where they've typed out this huge command and they're really expecting some results, looking like hackers on TV, and then they get nothing but a screen waiting, right? So I like this. I like positive reinforcement, and this helps out a lot. And then we'll put in 192.168.0.0.0/24, right? Cider notation in this instance. You can also do 0 TAC or 1 TAC 254, right? If you want to scan that way. And we do that in other labs to instill a little diversity of typing. And go ahead and hit enter and run your scan. This won't take too long, if I remember correctly. And as that's running, so you can see over here on the hint, so we explain the three-way handshake. And here we talk about the very verbose and what's happening there. And as I mentioned in the previous one, we talked about the three-way handshake. Okay? And give a little context. And as we mentioned with all of our other steps, we have a picture that accompanies as well, just in case you feel a little uncomfortable with your typing. And here we can see the scans running, getting some exciting results. If you can call nmap results exciting. Just depends how you look at it. After you've been beating your head against a keyboard for an entire day, sometimes there's no better thing to see. All right? We see, hey, there's some good information here. All right? Five hosts are up. We can take a look. We can scroll up and take a look at some of the information. All right, some open ports. Great. Well, this is a little more than I needed because I just kind of want to know what other systems are on the network, right? Not only is this a little more than I needed, it's a little hard to categorize, okay? And I'd really prefer if I could put it into some type of file to look at. Well, what do you know? If we click done, that's our next step, all right, to put this in a more approachable setup. So in this instance, if you want to type along with me, we're going to do nmap. TAC S T. You guys remember that's for the TCP three-way handshake. TAC O A. This is where we're going to save our output, okay? And you can see in our actual instruction, using the TAC O capital A option to output the data to a regular file, an XML file, and a greppable file format, right? 3 big formats that we can use to actually run searches through, that we can take a look with, that we can get our hands dirty with. Network underscore topology is going to be the name of our output. And again, I love putting in very verbose. Double check, take a few seconds to make sure that you typed your command correctly. And go ahead and execute it. Now, as I mentioned, what's happening here? We're running the same command, okay? But this time we're saving the output, and we're saving it. Oh, I forgot the camera can't follow me. We're saving it in multiple files that we can then search through, that we can work with, that we can actually, I don't know, save for coworkers down the line so that this never happens again. Key part, as I mentioned, of this whole experience. Now, you notice that there's a lot of information here. What do you think is going to happen as a result? We're going to have some pretty gnarly looking files. All right, well that's no fun, but we'll address that too. Go ahead and click Done. We want to analyze the output, so let's take a look real quick at what we just made. Nano Network Topology, GNMAP. And for those of you who are unfamiliar, if you just start typing capital N and then ETW and hit tab, it will autofill the network topology part. Then you can type GNMAP. Okay, this is for our grepable version. And then once you do that, and what is Nano? Nano helps you, Nano's pretty much like a text editor, all right, but through your terminal. You can see there is a lot of stuff in there, all right? How approachable is this? How exciting are you? How excited do you get when you see all this data? All right, well, same here. We want something that is a little more usable. Now, it's great because you can see, for example, right here, which ports are open, which are down, which are up, all right? Great things there. But again, it's still a bit unwieldy. So I want everyone to hit Control and then X, and that'll exit you out of that file, all right? And you're back at your terminal. All right, let's use grep then to search through that file, all right, for the word open. This will show us open ports, right? So let's go ahead and type with me grep open network topology GNMAP. All right, so that is, again, the same grepable file that we were working with, but this time we're searching for the word open. Okay, and we want to see what's associated with it. Well, that looks horrifying. All right, but you can see which ports are then open. Okay, right there. You have your 53, you have 80. So it gives you a little context. It helps you understand a bit better. All right. So it's nice, but it's still, how do we put this? It's still a little unwieldy for future purposes. Say I want to run a scan on the network, but knowing that these computers are supposed to be there, I just want to look for ones that aren't supposed to be there, right? I wonder if there's a way I can make a file that I can say, hey, exclude these targets, exclude these specific devices. Well, I'll have you know there is. All right, so everyone click Done and go on to step 8. Now, this is the most advanced command you'll have to worry about for this whole lab. You'll see, as we say below, now we need to extract only the needed information from that GNMAP file, that grepable file. Let's say we want to create a file that only has the IP addresses of the live hosts from our recent scan, right? So I just want to make a file that all it has is a list of the live hosts I just found, because I know those hosts, they're cool. I'm cool with them. They're all right. Yeah? So take a look at that command real quick. Grep. Again, we're using open. Okay, so we get the same output, and then we have network topology, that GNMAP. All right, so you go, but Frank, you just ran that. It looked terrible. I don't want to see that. And I say, I don't want to see it either. So we're using our pipe to run another command, right? And we're saying cut. What this is doing is this is cutting out information we need, or you can use that don't need. And we're delineating. That tag T is our delineator. We're looking for, specifically, what's between the quotes? A space. And we're looking in field 2. All right? What this does is it looks where the field 2 is, and sees where the space is, and takes out the things that are between those spaces, that are in those that specific area. And it will create a new file. Now, very carefully, type this in with me, all right? We're going to do grep open network topology.gnmap space your pipe, all right, it's right above your enter key, so you hit shift and then type that, hit that key, and that's where your pipe comes in. Space, cut, space, tac D, all right, then we put in a quote, a space, a quote, because keep in mind, cut, and that's our delineator right there, right? That's space. And then tac F2, that means field 2. And then we're going to a new file, we're outputting this into a new file called device list, device_list.txt. All right? And then take a second to look. I'm going to take a second to look too, just to make sure I've got it right. grep, open, there's your network topology.gnmap, space, pipe, space, cut, tac D. All right, remember we're delineating in field 2, and we're outputting to device list.txt. Enter. Oh man, that's unsettling. It just happened. All right, well, if you'll notice at the bottom, you then are encouraged to take a look at the contents of the new file. So hit cat, type cat, space, and then device list. And hey, what do you know? A manageable list of IPs. Never is that phrase more exciting, all right, than when you're extracting a bunch of IPs that you need out of what formerly was a gnarly mess. Make sense? Everyone following me on this? Cool. All right. So I then want to use that. Well, first, I then want to use that to exclude those, as I mentioned earlier, from my search because I know they're good. I'm going to look for bad guys. In this step, we expose you to the new TAC A. All right. Now, TAC A is a much more open scan. All right. And if you look here, I don't know if yeah, right here, it's for aggressive. And it's very similar to TAC OS, but it's a little bit stronger, thus the aggressive aspect. All right. Exclude file. So you'll notice in our command, nmap TAC A, exclude file, device list. All right. So we want to exclude the information in there, but we still want to run against the same network. So nmap TAC, capital A for aggressive, TAC exclude file, device list. Now, if you use tab this time, it won't auto-populate device list, so you have to carefully type it out yourself. And then put in your network. And then you run your scan again. And if you take a minute to notice, hey, you're 90% done. You've run through this. And keeping in mind, you can run through this lab either with a friend, by yourself at home, in the morning, at night, anytime. It's almost like green eggs and ham, right? In a box with a fox. In the night, every night. All right. We've noticed, hey, there's another host. I don't know. But then we take a closer look. It's 0.100. Who remembers who 0.100 is? It's us! Because that very first ifconfig, when we identified the network, we identified the network. We also identified our own IP, which was 0.100. We're like, well, that was silly of us. We forgot to add that. Let's go ahead and put that into our file so that for the next one, we don't have to worry that. So we can type echo. And in quotes, you put your IP address 192.168.0.100, end quotes, right? Now, we're using 2 carets this time because we don't want to overwrite anything, but we want to add to the file that already exists, okay, of device list.txt. I'm going to run another cat just to make sure. And I see that I made it in there appropriately. Now, we don't have to worry about us getting intermingled with any potentially hazardous results. All right? It's one of the more humorous experiences, especially when I'm doing a packet analysis class with students, is when they're like, look at this suspicious IP. man, it's going to Facebook, oh man, it's calling out to Google and all that stuff. I'm like, that's your cell phone. You did not filter yourself out of the results. Now, how do you think one of the ways I learned that was? I was that guy, all right, back in the day, okay? Some would argue I still am, depending on who you ask. But I've done that. We all do these silly things, but we learn and we progress, all right? It's very easy to forget that, hey, you got to include yourself in stuff like this. All right, and then after that, we pretty much run one more. Oh, and I told you it would come back, okay? And there it is, at the very bottom. We run one more scan with the capital P, lowercase n, and this would be our super aggressive scan, all right? Now, this time, instead of doing the exclude, we're including with lowercase I, capital L. So this works two ways. Now we can disclude ourselves from scans, or say we know nobody else is on the network, but some really odd traffic is coming across, right? We can very intentionally scan targets on this list. So if you recall the capital P, lowercase n, that was because not everyone always ARPs, right? Okay, we assume everyone's up. We have our aggressive scan in there to do an aggressive scan, and then we have device list.txt saying, I want to only look at devices in that list. And there you go. This time it's not very close, but you still will get the output. And with that, everyone's done the first CSXP lab. Now, there are 40 of these, all right, that we have total. And all of these labs take you, as I mentioned, across the whole spectrum when you're talking about cybersecurity domains, all right? That's just the first of identify. Then with Protect, we work with several different instances of how to harden your network. We work a lot with pfSense, okay? We've got Splunk, we've got Snort, we've got Snorby, all the fun stuff. Then Detect. We look at all the different packets, we look at seeing what's going across the network, we identify suspicious stuff. We even set it up in a few labs where you are responsible for attacking your own network, right? So you can see the attack from beginning to end for detection, from instance of initiation by the bad guy to you detecting it, all right? We even have those set up. And then for respond, we show you how exactly what to do, how to close, when you should close ports, how you should close ports, X, Y, Z. That's just one example. It's not all just port management. It's also host management as well, and endpoint device management. And then recover. When everything's gone terrible and it's time to put that new image up, all right? And it's time to make sure everything, not just the image is put up, but it's a hardened image. That's the whole experience in a nutshell for CSXP. All right, well, everyone who tuned in to stream, thank you so much. If you have any questions, again, you can reach out to us at cybersecurity.isaca.org, or you can email tflax@isaca.org.